What's up, everybody? It's Clint from the Diehard MMA podcast. This show was filmed exclusively for odds.com. Make sure you click the link below, check it out. Make sure you drop a like, and good luck on all your action. Next up, we've got Austin Lingo taking on Jacob Kilburn. And everyone's got to bear with me a little bit. Like I said, these fights are out of order for me, so I got to find my notes every time I get the order here.
Me too.
Yep.
No rush.
So it's funny you mentioned Fortis MMA because that's where our boy Lingo comes from. He's training out of Fortis, and even though they're one of my absolute favorite gyms in the world, they've had a bit of a rough run lately. They're not doing so hot at the moment, which another thing for you, we can't really quantify that. Like if the gym as a whole is kind of slumping a little bit, what does that mean to the number? It's an interesting thing that honestly I haven't thought about until now. So it's something I'll have to put some more effort into going forward here. One thing he does have, though, that I really like is nice, tight boxing. He keeps his hands up nice. He's got a hard 1-2. He likes to cut his opponent off in the cage. It's that aggressive forward stalking motion. I really like to see that. He doesn't chase his opponents in the octagon. He walks them down. He cuts them off. He makes them go where he needs them to be in order to attack. He's got good, solid submission defense, fast hands. Honestly, I like everything I see from Austin Lingo. Jacob Kilburn, really awkward striking. This kid is really unusual on the feet. He throws everything with bad intentions, though. He's always a threat for the knockout. He's got this surprise head kick that he doesn't set up, but it comes out of nowhere. He changes levels really well, but he's kind of uncomfortable when he's on the ground. He does keep his hands low, which I think is really a big opportunity for Lingo here because he will just walk forward and throw from the hip constantly. Now, Kilburn is 0-2 against UFC level competition. He's got poor defensive grappling. I got to feel like this is a Lingo spot. The only problem is I don't know if he justifies the line. He's sitting about minus 225 right now. The comeback on Kilburn is about plus 180, plus 185. And I gotta side with the favorite here. But again, I don't know that I necessarily want to lay that price tag with him.
I don't have an opinion on the side. I wanted to know your opinion on the round total because here's why. Like I told you, I bet all the other sports and I move some steam for some groups. And I share different information and get to look at different accounts. Make a long story short, a real sharp group out there that does well in MMA, they actually bet the round total on this one. They bet the under 2.5 rounds at plus 230 and plus 200. That's why now it's dropped so much.
Yeah.
I take a percentage of stuff I piggyback for them. Make a long story short again, I didn't release that to my guys. I didn't know how much I agree with it. We're talking featherweights. We know close to 6 out of 10 times those outcome is in the hands of the judges. Lingo, you nailed it, was a finisher, but we saw once it gets to the UFC level, a lot of these times for these fighters, once they get to the UFC, the finishes don't come as easy. That once the level of opposition is as good as you are, you're not finishing guys as easily anymore. I don't know if that was a case of that, but if you look with Kilburn too, nothing but finishes throughout his career. So I could see why they took it at a 2-1 dog. I don't know if there's a lot of value in it right now because I think the under now is like plus 120, 130, if that. So I think they extracted all the value, but do you think that makes sense?
I actually do. I think it's under a pass. It's one of those situations where you're getting that plus line. Obviously, 90% of us don't have access to that plus 200.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a homer, man. Like that's a home run bet at 2-1 to get this under 2.5. I don't mind it so much, even at plus 140 where it's at right now. Not everybody is going to be able to access this. We're still way in advance, but the under wouldn't be a bad way to look, in my opinion, because Jacob Kilburn, like I said, he throws everything to kill. And I'm not convinced this kid's UFC caliber. His 3 losses have all come by submission. It just seems like he's completely out of place on the floor. And one thing I do know about Fortis MMA is they've got some really high-level grapplers and high-level black belts there. Even though Lingo is more of a striker, more of a stand-on-the-feet type of guy, I can absolutely see him clubbing and subbing a guy like Kilburn. If he rocks him on the feet, knocks him to the mat, dives on a neck, that kind of thing. He's got 2 submission wins on his record, so we know he at least knows how to fight on the ground. And then he's more of a finisher than not. He's only got 1 loss. It was by decision. It was in the UFC against Youssef Zalal, for God's sake. That guy is a monster. So I think we've got a UFC caliber fighter in Lingo that can absolutely finish Kilburn. And then Kilburn, if he's going to get the win, I think it's going to be with one of those wild shots that comes out of nowhere.
I definitely can see it, bro. And still plus money, so you're getting it as a dog, so it's not a bad price. I agree with it. I think you're right. It makes a lot of sense.
All right, so we've got a potential look there. Again, I'll have to wait and see what we can get for a total when that one comes out where we can access it. Like I said, not all the books have it at this point, but under 2.5 rounds at plus money, not a bad look. That's a perfect spot for me to plug. As you guys know, we'll be back on the train. I do a show that we call Total Madness a little later in the week. I go back over the card, talk about simply the totals over under and which way I lean on those. So stay tuned for that.